Welcome to the New Planner Podcast, where it's all about helping you successfully enter the financial planning profession and accelerate your financial planning career. This podcast will help you understand the profession, become familiar with the various career paths available to you, and avoid the mistakes that limit your success. Join your host, Caleb Brown, to explore the human side of creating a successful planning career through interviews, personal experience, and insights from the trenches. Let's get started.
Welcome to the 209th episode of the New Planner Podcast. This is Caleb Brown, your host. My guest today is Connor Barbella, who's an associate financial advisor at Tupler Financial. Connor joins the show today to share how he became interested in financial planning and what led him to change his major in college. He shared how he started off in a good fit firm after graduation and took the CFP exam just a few months after starting at the firm. Listen to the middle as he shares specifics on how he prepared for the CFP exam, which helped him pass the first time, how he added value to the firm early on in his career when his skills were limited, and what he is doing to work his way up in the firm. Stay tuned to the end for tips for candidates who are also contemplating a career on the operations side of the business, as well as insight on what his firm looks for in job seekers and how firms can retain and cultivate their culture virtually. I hope you enjoy this episode with Connor Barbella. Hi, Connor. Welcome to the New Planner Podcast.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. Just got back from the CFP Board Connections Conference in DC. So just a lot of energy, a lot of buzz. But I'm excited to talk with you. Thanks for agreeing to do this and cool story. So we placed you in a firm. You've been there, I think, a little over 3 years, and just take us back to where did the journey in financial planning start for you?
Absolutely. Yeah. So where it really started for me was at the University of Delaware. I had the finance major selected. And as I was going through my classes, I really liked the number aspect, but I had a history of working for CVS as a cashier. And I really liked the personable aspect of being a cashier, being able to talk to people, help them with their issues, get them to the end solution that they needed. And I wanted to transfer that into whatever future that I had in front of me. And bringing that in with finance, my college advisor was like, hey, we have a financial planning program here at University of Delaware that's CFP accredited, that you add maybe 4 to 6 classes on top of your schedule, and you get to graduate with a double major in finance and financial planning. And I said, absolutely, because that allowed me to drop my econ double major and avoided me having to take any economics, calculus related classes. So I jumped right on that. I started really jumping into the world of financial planning when I found your podcast here, laying in my college bed. And I knew that financial advisory meant a lot of different things. I knew that it could be anywhere from an insurance salesman to a full fee-only financial planner. And I knew which side of this I wanted to be on and which side I didn't want to be on. And with the use of your podcast as well, helping me direct, I knew that I wanted to look for a hybrid fee schedule or fee-only broker-dealer RIA combo of some sort. And luckily, you guys have posted something for Tupler Financial, and it worked out from there.
That's amazing. Thanks for the podcast plug. How did you find out about it? I mean, did someone refer you to it? I'm just curious on how people find us.
So in my intro to financial planning class, the Financial Advisor Success Podcast with Michael Kitces, not to plug a competitor here, or I'm sure your colleagues. And from there, I believe he mentioned the New Planner Podcast at some point, either on his website or in one of his podcasts.
Yeah.
I was able to direct me right there. And because quite honestly, as a college student, the Financial Advisor Success Podcast is great, but it is a little advanced for what you are trying to learn in so that you can be attractive to get hired by these financial planning firms. Whereas the New Planner Podcast is exactly what it says. It's gearing you up specifically so that you are ready to sit down in front of that financial planning firm as an entry-level person.
Okay, so you didn't know about financial planning. You were in finance, and it sounded like the academic advisor said, "Hey, we have this other
finance and econ, and that econ class with calculus really knocked some worry into me." Thank God, because I was able to pivot into financial planning, which is brought in that personable aspect that I really needed to see with the numbers that is finance.
And I've mentioned this several times, but I'm hoping eventually the profession will get to where the majority of people are not having to fall into the major, and they either know in high school or middle school, or I don't know. I didn't know what I wanted to do when I was in middle school. That's maybe too tall of an ask, but like like coming in and looking at the major and saying, "Nope, financial planning. That's the one I want." Versus, "Whoop, I just like me. I completed 3 years and fell into it." So I would love to see that before the end of my career. And there's a lot of people working on it.
Yeah, no, there's a ton of people working on it. You're working on it. I think you will see definitely by the end of your career that things will change. As simply as it is, the fact of how much wealth is changing hands, getting passed down through the generations, not only on the client side, but these aging advisors that are getting to the point where they need to pass their books of business down as well. So there's going to be a lot of movement. I think there's going to be a lot of increased interest in the industry.
So you completed the degree in the end. You started right with Tupler. Is that the way?
Yeah, so I graduated in May of 2021, and I started at Tupler in June of 2021. And as soon as I started, because I graduated from a CFP accredited program, I was able to skip the CFP education requirements, and I started studying for the CFP exam right away. And so kind of doing it a little bit of a backwards approach, but Andy wanted me to tackle the hardest exam first to get that beast out of the way. And I was going to say luckily, but I don't think it was luck. I think it was hard work, dedication, determination. I was able to sit and pass in November of 2021. And because I'm under Andy Tupler, Josh Murray, who are CFPs, that expedited my experience requirement. I was able to call myself a 24, now 26-year-old CFP.
That's amazing. Yeah, you're on the accelerated path, right? That's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, and we were just talking about this in DC at this. I mean, a lot of people are like, well, I'm not going to take the CFP exam because I got to have 2 to 3 years of experience anyways. Like, no, you need to take it as soon as possible. And I've got lots of content out there about why, but it sounded like that worked out for you. Any tips? Just putting in the time, other than putting in the time, what else worked for you?
Yeah. I mean, putting in the time is a big one there, of course. But like you just said, if you're going to go out and get the experience, unfortunately, your real world experience is not going to directly carry into a passing result on the CFP exam. My biggest tip here, I'm going to give a couple shout outs throughout, but shout out to Brett Danko because he was an amazing CFP prep program who focuses on teaching you how do you pass the exam. Listen, you're going to really internalize and retain the information you're learning when you're on the job and doing it actively every day. But how do you go about really passing that exam? What strategies are you looking at per questions? Can you see that there's a category of questions that you have to answer a certain way? It's just really helpful to break it down that way so that you're not sitting in the exam, coming across a question that you may not know how to answer, shaking, feeling like you're going to fail.
Okay, so that's great. Graduated, started, passed the CFP. What kind of value were you adding right when you started, or were you adding any value at all? I mean, from
that's tough, right? You just one big expense. No, what I wanted to start on here is really that was the question I had asked myself. Where do I provide value?
Yeah.
And I had to go find that. And luckily, the places that I provide value lined up with the things that I like to do. So a lot of the things that I was able to provide value with early and upfront is vetting technology, implementing new technology for the firm. Just because a lot of people my age and younger, we grew up with technology in our hands, so it feels very natural. And then the second thing that I was able to help with was bring our marketing to a base level. My goal was not to revolutionize our marketing campaigns, to drive referrals, to increase referrals 200%. That would be all awesome and everything. But ultimately, all I wanted to do was get our digital presence up to a standard that our current client base could feel like, hey, I'm connected with them on a digital landscape.
Those are amazing. I mean, just those two by themselves. And I know you did other stuff too. And maybe you can talk about that. So look, you started off, what was your title and what was your, outside of this technology and the marketing, what were you doing for to serve the clients?
Yeah, so I came in as a financial planning analyst or a financial analyst where I was sitting in on client meetings, helping take notes, helping close out meetings, helping complete follow-up items, helping clients with data collection, document collection, really anywhere that I could help. That's what I was doing as an analyst. And this was the point where I fell in love with not just the client service side of things, but really the business operations side of things as well. And just as an analyst, I tried to eat as much as I can in order to really pinpoint, hey, this is where I could provide value. And so as I've progressed out of the analyst role, passing the CFP exam, going through the 2 years, becoming a CFP, transitioning through associate advisor to now kind of in this ambiguous space here, but all with trying to be the operations manager end goal.
Okay, so that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to go the operations route, not the lead planner route.
Correct. Yes. Now that doesn't mean I'm throwing away advisory completely, but at this moment, I think that I can provide the most value on the operations side of things.
And do you envision like you running the operation of the firm, but also having some clients that and maybe that's what you just said, to serve
Yes.
as
Yeah.
well?
So that would be really awesome. If a perfect world can, if I could get towards that perfect world, that'd be great. If it's not feasible, then fine, it's not feasible. But that's a bridge to be crossed in the future. But any time where I can take an existing process and make it more efficient, more effective, and make everyone's lives easier on the team, not just the advisors' lives easier, but the client service lives easier, then it's a win-win-win, and it feels really good to do.
I mean, does that role exist at your firm, or is that something you guys are just going to have to create?
I kind of created it. I feel like I have. I've clawed my way up a little bit. Andy and Josh were always looking for an operations manager, but they were really looking for the right fit, and they saw the opportunity that, hey, maybe I can grow into that fit. Maybe they can build me into that fit. And Andy has put his money where his mouth is, and I can't be more grateful. But I am now a part of a COO mastermind group where, although I'm not officially operations manager, I am in a group of other advisory COOs in the challenges they face, where we're all networking together, and I'm just seeping it up like a sponge.
Man, what a great learning environment. I mean, that's amazing. And it's also really cool that you have a mentor and a boss who's like, look, like you want to go this route, let's do it, versus like, no, that doesn't fit in our org chart.
Yeah.
No, can't do that. Versus being very rigid and not trying to be open to things.
No, and it really, I pinch myself sometimes. I'm like, hey, am I dreaming here? Because I can't express how lucky I am to find someone like Andy who has consistently invested in my personal development. Because a lot of places out here that are quote unquote hiring for financial advisors, they want to pull you into the firm and they want to use you for everything they can use you for. And then if you don't work, you don't hit your numbers, they want to spit you out. And I just feel like I have gotten into a completely different type of culture and atmosphere here at Tupler.
So what are some of the challenges that you're facing right now? I mean, you've kind of moved, you're still working with some clients right now?
Correct. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
What are some of the challenges that you have with the clients? I mean, just talk to a newer planner. And then what are some of the challenges you have on the business management side you're trying to solve?
Yeah. So on the client side, challenges I'm trying to solve on the client side, a challenge there would be I'm working with a lot of older folks and younger folks. So because of the age range that I'm working with, I have to consistently tweak how I use technology from a planning perspective in the actual interaction. Because obviously, an 80-year-old client is going to find far less value in the budgeting tool of Right Capital than a 25-year-old. So that is a unique challenge in itself. I have a toolbox in front of me, but how do I use the toolbox per person? Then on the practice management side of things, we have 11 team members on the team. 5 of the 11 have been added in the last year. And so One of the big responsibilities I've had is the initial onboarding and training of the new team members that come into the firm. And, one, how do you make a remote office experience feel like there's company culture? How do you bring our values of desiring to help others, striving to improve, the power of teamwork? How do you bring those core values into a virtual landscape? That's a big challenge. I think a lot of people are asking that question. And then another challenge, how do I know I'm effectively training the people that are coming into the firm and that I'm there for them on a personal and professional level?
So do you have any answers to any of those? They're all great
No,
challenges and great questions, like especially the culture thing, like hiring people virtually and retaining the culture. I mean, that's a tough one.
Yeah, I just like having all the questions. No, I think so. We just had, with the 5 new team members, we had 4 of the new team members in the office last week on Monday and Tuesday. And so we have PA team members, Georgia team members. So we're flying team members out, but we want to have a focus on having, even though we're remote, we have set times where the whole team comes together and we're reviewing Colby scores to see how we interact with each other as from that personal and professional aspect. And it was just really valuable. It really made you feel like, the person that you call on Teams is a real person. They have legs and they're standing in front of you and you get to talk to them about more personal stuff and not just work-related stuff. So it was great.
I think you said 26. Is that what you said? 25, 26, something like that earlier. Is that where you are age-wise, career-wise?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yep.
Okay. So here you are, mid-20s, sort of running operations for an 11-person firm. I mean, that's a lot of responsibility. I mean,
yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Yeah. Caveat, helping run operations of a firm, because that's, that main focus. How can I help Andy and Josh? But it feels awesome. I'm not going to, is there stress that comes with that? Yes, of course. But I feel like I have purpose when I wake up in the morning, that I am actively helping the lives of other people. And it just feels really good to do it. And everything that I learn on a day-to-day basis is personally beneficial to myself, friends, and family, because this knowledge is so important. For some reason, this is a whole different conversation. And for some reason, it's not focused on in middle school and high school as much as it really should be.
Talk to us more about so it looks like you were 6 people a year ago. Now, 5, that's a lot of people to absorb for a small firm.
Yeah.
What's is it just new client? You just gotten a bunch of new clients? Is that what's going on here?
Yeah, there was some movements internally of people finding positions that are better suited for them, and we wish them the best in their future. So it was a little bit of, hey, business growth has been great, and we have lost some internal team members. So if we're going to focus on recruiting, let's really heavily focus on recruiting now so we could find those A players to pull into the firm so that we can have a awesome trajectory forward towards our goals.
And I think that's something that smaller RIAs struggle with. Like, let's try to get ahead of the curve. Most of them are more reactive. So kudos to you on trying to do this. Like, well, we don't need someone right now. Well, if we get 5 or 6 more new, whatever it is, we're going to need somebody. Like, start the process now. A lot of them are just reactive, which is exact opposite of what they're telling their clients, right? So that's kind of makes me want to pull my hair out.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And thankfully, Andy and Josh are really forward looking. And one of their personal mottos has always been hire ahead of the need, because you never want to lose a client because you're scrambling, or lose multiple clients because you were not anticipating the growth and were not staffing appropriately.
Well, this has really been interesting, Con. The transition. So what's next for you? What are you working on? What are you trying to hope to move up to? And where do you see the firm going in the next few years?
So in the immediate future, you'll catch me at Commonwealth Nationals in Orlando, Florida. But it's my first national conference with Commonwealth, so I'm very excited for that. But my future is, how can I become operations manager effectively? How can I save the partners time here? And eventually, how can I move into that COO role down the road? as long as Andy permits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And is that, I mean, do you guys talk about the goals? I mean, is the goal to build some big RIA, like huge RIA firm? And because I'm just thinking like COO, usually that's associated with larger firms, right?
Yeah. So we have growth goals for sure. And, I can't remember the timeline off the top of my head, but we want to reach $1 billion in assets under management. And once we hit that goal, which we will, I don't anticipate that we would stop there. I think we would, well, then what's 1.5 or 2?
Yeah. What do you want to tell that person who may be sitting on the sidelines? Like, look, I want to join financial planning profession, or and I'm thinking about the ops side, but I mean, just talk a little bit more about that, if you would, on just what advice you might give them on trying to figure out their path.
Yes. So I would say it's rare. I would say that there are not many positions like the one that I am in currently. So I manage expectations, I think, is really important. And the second piece is do your research. Listen to as many of the New Planner podcast episodes as you can to get a gauge as to what you actually really want to do. And if it is the operations side of things, focus on building core competencies around the technology or around improving operational efficiencies, so that even if you got hired entry level as an analyst, you could come in and show, hey, I can provide this value. And you could show a proof of concept. And maybe that'll allow you to move into more operational related activities because you've shown proof of competency.
Just a thought I had, but listening to I teach the practice management class at UGA. So this is very, sort of close. I think as more programs, more CFP programs offer that class, because it's not required. It's to take this for the education, take the exam, but it's being added. Right. So I'm just wondering, are more people going to be interested in taking kind of this path that you have taken when they get early exposure to the practice manager? Because some of my students are really jazzed. I mean, they're jazzed about the client side, right? But they're also jazzed about trying to figure out some of this business stuff. And, it's just interesting to me. So I'm glad to see you do this and have success. Connor, you've just shared that you guys have hired a lot recently. I mean, what are characteristics you look for in new hires?
I think in ever increasing skill that is needed to hire in our industry is technology literacy, because technology is only going to become more and more useful, is only going to take more and more items off of our plates. So I think that if anyone wants to be truly successful in the industry, they want to make sure that their technical skills are up to snuff. And it might sound silly, but that they know how to convert a picture, a JPEG, to a PDF, or how to rotate a document, or how to connect your computer to a printer. All those things, they might sound silly, but ultimately having that knowledge will save you hours in the back end.
Got it. Love it. Connor, this has been great. Again, thanks for coming on, sharing some of your journey. Anything else? Any final comments before we close out?
No, good luck to all of those in the CFP programs in college. You guys are going to kill it. And good luck to anyone sitting and studying for the CFP exam.
Thanks for coming on, Connor.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the New Planner Podcast. If you're ready to discover the top career paths for financial planners and see which track is best for you, we created a free guide to help you. Grab your copy of the Financial Planner Career Roadmap at newplannerrecruiting.com/roadmap. There, you'll also find more tools and resources, all created to help you build a successful financial planning career. Tune back in next week for another episode, and until then, we're here to help you succeed.